Hello, everybody. Welcome to your EFL Championship hot takes for round 39. Coventry get even closer to claiming that championship title. Behind them, everybody's feeling the pressure in the race for second place, and that means nobody was winning in the race for the playoffs and fourth and fifth and whatnot. Everybody won. Different expectations, different set of results. I think down at the bottom, a really good round for West Brom fans. Pompey fans, I mean, God, look away now. 6-1, they went under at QPR. Really bad round for them. Get involved in the comments. Make sure you've liked the video. That helps me out massively. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. What are you doing? And make sure you subscribe to the Benjamin Bloom Clips channel. We'll link some bits and bobs up at the end. If you click through, you can hit subscribe. There, right. Let's do this. Up at the top, Swansea 0, Coventry 3. It's looking really close for Coventry now. I know the Coventry fans got a bit twitchy with the Southampton defeat. And look, I get it. It's difficult when it's your team that's up there and it's that close and you can't quite get yourself to accept how close it is. But I said 2 games ago that Coventry needed 3 wins. They've got one of those wins, but alongside that, Middlesbrough have now dropped points in all 3 of their last games. Ipswich have dropped points in 3 of their last 4 games. Millwall have dropped points in their last 2 games. So, is it even? I mean, I said 3 wins. They've now got one of those wins, Coventry. Is it 1 win and 2 draws would do it? Now, certainly, I think 2 wins would do it. Let's play our favourite game of giving everybody in the chasing pack 2 points per game. By the way, Coventry have got 80. So, Hull can score another 14 if they go 2 per game. That would go to 80, which is Coventry's current total. Millwall, they could go to 83 with 2 points per game. Ipswich have got an extra game, so they could go to 85. And yeah, Middlesbrough can also go to 85. So look, I'll stick with the 2 more wins is going to do it. And I suppose we're at the point now with a 9-point gap down to Middlesbrough, 11 points down to Ipswich. And people will talk about games in hand. The game in hand is not for Ipswich until the way it'll work out. I know they've got the Pompey game as well, but they play Southampton, obviously, right at the end of April between round 45 and 46. So Coventry really can have this done by the middle of April if the sort of next results work for them. Who have they got coming up? Coventry. They've got Derby at home and then Hull away over Easter. Then Sheffield Wednesday, Blackburn and Pompey. So they play 3 sides towards the bottom. Yes, Klaxon alert. Ben, it's much harder to play sides down at the bottom of the end. Come on. Coventry have got 80 points. They're about to win the title. Don't tell me what's difficult and what's not difficult. Stop with the coping mechanisms and tell me when Coventry are going to secure this championship title, because they are miles ahead, and they were miles ahead in this game. We did it on the watch long. It was actually quite strange because in another universe, Swansea could get something from this game because they had chances, didn't they? And they hit the post and they hit the bar. But we have a team in Swansea that's kind of over here in their development, and a team in Coventry that's over here in their development. And I used the word maturity with the game management, and the assuredness meant that even though in the penalty boxes both teams have chances, the Coventry are just clinical and ruthless, and the way they managed it and didn't let themselves kind of get suckered in. And Coventry fans probably be really pleased to hear that, given the horrible run they had sort of over December, January time. They just nailed it, didn't they? Penalty, Cabango on Mason Clark, wasn't it? Thomas Asante sticks that home. And then, this is the thing. And it's all very well Vitor Matos talking about counter-pressing and going after teams. But if you have a situation where you're in the first half of a game and you concede 3 goals in 11 minutes, running all over the opponents and just being too open. And I mean, the second goal's criminal, isn't it? Iom has so many chances to just clear it up the line or across the pitch and over and try and switch, and he holds onto it. And, of course, Matt Grimes scores. I will not change my mind on this. I'm not a fan of the non-celebration thing. And if you're going to celebrate, just don't celebrate. Don't do the, I'm not celebrating, but here's me signalling that I'm not celebrating. Everybody knows Matt Grimes is a great guy. Everybody knows he played 10 years for Swansea. It is what it is. And that's just a hobby horse of mine. I don't think players should be held to that account when fans just happily boo players who have been there for 10 years. So, be the bigger person and all that, but you can just run back to halfway line without doing the holding your hands up bits and bobs. But I'll never change my mind on that. Yes, old man yells at clouds. Great strike by Grimes, by the way. Swazzes it in, left-footed in off the post on the volley. Sakamoto, there's a deflection, but I always bat for teams that score late goals and deflected goals. They're very seldom down to luck. It's normally you're positioning a defensive team in such a way that they're throwing legs at stuff, and it's normally either bad defending or putting a defensive side in a disadvantageous position. 3-0 at half-time, and it's kind of all gone. And Coventry just stage manage it for the rest of the second half. Easy does it, and onto the magic 80 points. Coventry have won 4 games more than any other side. 9 points clear of Boro. 11 points clear of Ipswich. Yes, they lost to Southampton, but they bounced back. 7 wins in 8. Across those 8 games, what have we got? That's ridiculous. Plus 11 on Middlesbrough, plus 6 on Ipswich, and plus 8 on Millwall. It's just been a big, huge, giant swing. And obviously at the start of those games, Middlesbrough were top of the table, weren't they? So a decisive run at a decisive time. 2 more wins. Coventry will want to do it that way. Just bosh, get it done, get to that 86. The Ipswich game in hand might be a bit of a nuisance on the actual maths in terms of, right, it's done right now. But Coventry super close. And I think, this last period of games has done all the maths for us, hasn't it? Swansea's 10-game undefeated streak at home comes to an end. They drop into the bottom half, back-to-back defeats. They don't want their season to fizzle out here. Jan Vipotnik has signed a new deal. That's very well deserved and very good news, although I'm sure there'll still be plenty of phone calls to his agent during the summer. But look, even if it protects the asset and gives them a bit more value on a transfer fee, then it's the right thing to do. What are Swans up to over Easter? Let's have a look. They go to Sheffield United, and then they face Middlesbrough, so it's pretty tricky. So they're going to need to bounce back in terms of their performance level. But I will say, and this sounds ridiculous on a 3-0 defeat, if they just had a bit more control in their performance, they made the chances to at least score a couple of goals in this one. But as it was, you've got a team that's going to go on and be champions, and they just got the job done. Swansea 0, Coventry 3. Blackburn 0, Middlesbrough 0. I suspect Middlesbrough fans, look, I know a defeat would have been worse, but this was a scenario they really, really did not want to see for a third straight game, as in making chances, not taking them. So that is a 0-1 home defeat against Charlton. That is a 1-1 draw against Bristol City, who equalised in the last minute. And Bristol City have gone and lost again today, which then kind of makes that concession of those 2 points at the end of the game look worse, because they're in poor form, Bristol City. Okay, Blackburn's a little bit different because you're going away from home, and they're very much like Charlton did. They're literally just gonna sit there and happily take a point on their total, especially Blackburn, given they're above the dotted line, and obviously the pressure then goes on the teams below them to actually win games. Draws in that context can get you to the line and just keep the total ticking over. But in those last 3 games for Boro, 78% possession, 69% possession, 72% possession. So they've had tons of the ball. My quick math says that averages out about 73, 74% possession. Shots, 34, 19. So what's that? 53. And another 12 today isn't as massive. 65 shots and 73% possession. Yes, away we go. If you want to be the only thing that matters is the scoreline, Ben. Well, it's not the only thing that matters. It's the most important thing, but it's not the only thing that matters. And what really matters now is that teams are going up against Middlesbrough and clearly thinking, right, if we give them a game of football, they're probably going to take us to school. And I think even reasonable-minded Coventry fans would say, in a passing football match based around midfield and possession, Middlesbrough probably have been the best team, certainly since Kim Hellberg, in the league. But the likes of Coventry, look, they did it against Middlesbrough, have found different ways to win the games. They've used direct football nicely at times. They've come up against low blocks. Everybody up at the top of the table comes up against low blocks. You know, you just can't complain about it. What do you want? Just roll out the red carpet and let you walk in 3-4 goals. It's just not going to happen. But teams are thinking, well, we can take a point against Middlesbrough and probably shut them out. And yeah, okay, you're reliant on maybe some slightly errant finishing, which there was. But yeah, particularly in that first half, it felt like, I don't know, pressure and a bit of anxiety. It's in the head there with Boro strikers. And when that first goal doesn't come, all that happens is that anxiety builds, doesn't it? 1 goal in 3 games. And elephant in the room, Kim Hellberg calls him the best player in the Championship. And I think this is the first game this season Hayden Hackney has not appeared for Boro. And they didn't have Morgan Whittaker either. So look, if you're going to have a player injured in the run-in, now's the time, because we go to international break, don't we? And I mean, it's not quite 2 weeks, is it? Because we come back on Good Friday, but you know, it's nigh on 2 weeks, and I'm sure all the Boro fans are going to want to see in that next game, because it's against Millwall as well. They're going to want to see Hackney and Whittaker back in the starting lineup. But this is a real creak. I know Ipswich and Millwall have dropped points as well. Ipswich haven't lost games, and I don't know, can you put a couple of caveats in there? It was a late equaliser at Stoke. They could have had a late penalty, obviously, against Leicester, and they've played a head-to-head against Millwall. Whereas when you're looking at Middlesbrough, you've got a couple of home games in there, and there's just a different feel to it with the chances being made and the goals kind of drying up. Millwall lost at home to Blackburn, but there was obviously a red card that's since been rescinded in that game, and they were leading when the red card happened. So you can almost make the argument that all 3 teams have kind of dropped points, but Boro's has been the most, I don't know, hapless, irresponsible, pronounced. You tell me in the comments. Do you see what I'm trying to say with that bit of analysis? And yeah, next up, Millwall. And, we're going to go on to Ipswich and Millwall. And Millwall are going to be really emboldened by going to Portman Road and getting the point there. You know, we've got these head-to-heads set up. Look, we'll get to Millwall in a minute. Let me just round it out with Blackburn, who seem to be doing better against teams higher in the league, don't they? 1 point from Pompey and Oxford and 4 points from Millwall and Boro. And they're doing a decent enough job here now, aren't they, Blackburn? And it was a carefully worded question by the Blackburn guy to Michael O'Neill. Are you kind of good at this, having done so many gigs as Northern Ireland manager, where you play against much bigger nations with bigger populations and obviously better pool of players? Are you good at sat behind the ball and not having much possession? He said, well, yeah, I know how to do that. But, you know, they're going to need to win a game or two, Blackburn, between now and the end of the season. So, they're not going to be able to rely purely on red cards that get rescinded and quickly nicking a game and the odd low block draw. They are going to need to grab themselves wins. But you know me, I love a 4-point gap because a 4-point gap gives you a spare game. It gives you margin for error and it just piles the pressure on. If you get to round 45 and you've got that spare game, it really piles the pressure on the teams chasing. That moves forward their Hail Mary moment where it's like, if we don't do something now and get a bit of a favour, we need to catch these boys. Big game, Blackburn West Brom on the back end of Easter. Blackburn Leicester, last day of the season. I will say about Rovers, they have to play Coventry, Southampton, Sheffield United through those last 4 games. Although, to be fair, I need to probably revise Sheffield United slightly because their form has dropped off a little bit. We were kind of categorising them with all the playoff teams and teams that were winning a lot. Maybe we swapped Southampton in and Norwich in that kind of form business. Right, let's move it on then and talk about Ipswich and Millwall because that one ended 1-1. And, I mean, the first thing to say is it really does feel more pronounced than ever that Coventry are going to win the title. And, given there's only a 3-point gap there, isn't there, down to Hull. But, I don't know, just the feel of it at the moment, given Hull had lost 3 and 4 going into yesterday's game and the win was against Sheffield Wednesday, that second place with the head-to-heads as well was going to be between Middlesbrough, Ipswich and Millwall. This is the first head-to-head. Ipswich won, Millwall won. And we now go on in the next round. In round 40, it's Middlesbrough versus Millwall. And then in round 42, it's Ipswich versus Middlesbrough. Hey, maybe the Hull fans will sit there and go, well, if all of these games are draws and we have a bit of a winning run, yeah, of course, that would put Hull back into it. But they're currently 5 points off Boro. So that's how it's feeling at the moment. And yeah, it just has been a tense, nervy week. And this was a tense, nervy game. Wasn't it down at Portman Road? Real lovely end of the season feel, wasn't it? And you just can't separate these two at the moment, can you? 0-0 on Boxing Day, wasn't it? Or just after, I think. 1-1 in this one. Tied on 69 points as well. They are so even, these two sides. And they could still go on and meet in the playoffs if the season ends in a certain way. You'd likely think that would be if they were to finish 4th and 5th. But it could still happen. You could still have a 3rd, 6th scenario if one of the two teams drops off and we do get, the trend from Southampton and or a Hull improvement kind of happening between now and the end of the season. 3 draws in 4 for Ipswich, which is, you failed to win 3 of the last 4, but 7 unbeaten. And again, I'll get accused. I mean, let's be honest, you shouldn't really pay attention to the comments because there's a lot of emotional mentalness in there. But I will get accused of making excuses for Ipswich. But you can kind of say in those draws, as I said when we were talking about Coventry, should have beaten Stoke, shouldn't they? Got 3-2 up and conceded a daft penalty at the end. Defended abominably during the game. And Leicester, yeah, it was a strong second half performance, but Ipswich just haven't managed to get that comeback win. And maybe you can say the same about this game. Ipswich haven't managed to power to victory in that many tight games this season. It doesn't feel like that's the way they've been particularly winning. Alex Neil was sort of showing enough humility to say that Ipswich were the better side in the first half. They went in 1-0 up. Jack Clark with the goal. There's a brilliant save as well. As on volley, and Patterson gets to his right and tips that around the post. And Millwall come really strong in the second half, don't they? Neil said he wanted to play man-to-man. And I mean, just look at the goal. Furlong tries to step out the pitch and it's Negley, isn't it? It's too strong for him. Great bit of wing play, then crosses it in. And Coburn in the box, the ball crossed between the centre-back and the keeper. And he's in the right spot. And he puts that home. He's playing well now, Coburn, isn't he? And, I don't think a draw was the most crazy, unfair result if you look at it as a kind of a game where Ipswich were maybe the better side in the first half and Millwall in the second half. But obviously you had that situation at the end where Millwall hit the bar. And it was a weird one because it was almost like the ball wouldn't drop for Aziz, and it kind of does the best he can do with his shot. And Walton makes the save, and then Ivanovic spins and hits, but there's two players on the line and he has to put it high, and it hits the bar and bounces down, and it hits Walton and comes out. And I don't know, it's almost like one of those ones where you have to say it's a bit unlucky to hit the bar in the last minute, but it's one of those ones where, you know, it couldn't have done a lot more, either of the Millwall attackers with the shots, which means it didn't feel that unlucky, if you know what I mean. I think it was more, it looked like a scramble. I think it was more difficult to score there than it looked like, and it was pretty well defended by Ipswich. So it's a bit of a weird, you know, you've seen scrambles where you're like, how on earth have they not scored that? But when you actually watch that back, the way it played out, you know, it kind of just was what it was, and, you know, just plays into the narrative that you cannot separate these sides. I tell you what might separate these sides. Ipswich play, so they only play one game over Easter now, don't they, Ipswich, because Southampton are still in the FA Cup. So they wait until Easter Monday before they play. That's a home game against Birmingham. And then Ipswich are either going to get promoted or not get promoted based on their away form in April, because they got this mad run. And of the last 7 games, Ipswich go away 5 out of the 7 games. So they've just got to do the business on the road, Ipswich. If they do, they'll likely get promoted. If they don't, then they won't. And remember, one of the 2 home games is against Middlesbrough as well. So, yeah, not the easiest run-in. In terms of Millwall, I was talking to Chris, who's excellent, Chat with Chaps, his channel. And he said for Millwall to take second place, it looks like they need to take 4 points from this double head-to-head. So they've got the first one. Do they now need to go to Middlesbrough and win? And, of course, Ipswich don't play that first Good Friday, do they? So that would be the overtake, wouldn't it? So I think Chris was right. If Millwall want to get their noses in front, particularly ahead of that head-to-head between Ipswich and Middlesbrough, where they know one of the sides is going to drop points, it does feel like just get the job done at the Riverside. They need to go to Middlesbrough and win. Then they'll be in second spot, knowing that the other head-to-head between the other two is coming. Looking down from their lofty perch there. And I don't know. You look at, everybody does it. You look at 6-game sample, an 8-game sample, a 10-game sample. Hopefully I don't do what lots of fans do and just pick the one that makes their team look the best. I try and look at all of them and find what the actual patterns are. And if you look at most of them, obviously Middlesbrough have had these drop points, haven't they, lately? So you generally have Ipswich and Millwall tracking really closely together in most of the samples you find. And then Middlesbrough just a little bit below. So it's a really fascinating one. And if you want the narrative, then stick the team that's tracking slightly below ahead of the other two in the table, and you should get an incredible run-in. I mean, we're just going to have to check it week on week. And, you know, having 2 head-to-head still, with the next game being Middlesbrough versus Millwall, and Ipswich having Middlesbrough to play, absolute treat of a run-in. And then, yeah, is there just the chaos factor of, I mean, maybe Southampton are too far back, 8 points back with 7 to play, but is there the chaos factor that if you do get more slips and say Hull win the next 3 on the trot, you could almost then be involving another team in it? But sat here right now, it looks like the 3 of them there, and it's absolutely going to go to the wire. And, you know, will it be Ipswich's horrible away run that does for them? Will it be their head-to-heads that confirm it for whoever's going to take second? But, yeah, absolutely fascinating race. Many a slip betwixt cup and lip, I'm sure, between now and the end of the season. Sorry, I've got to have a drink while I'm doing this. I have to talk for an hour and I have to put the heater on in here and it gets really dry. So apologies if you're listening on the audio feed and you're hearing slurpy noises. That's why. Hull 3, Sheffield Wednesday 1. again, is the Sheffield Wednesday voucher a thing? Well, yeah, probably. That's the 29th game they have lost. But I think Hull might have drawn to Sheffield Wednesday earlier in the season. So, and they took the lead in this one Wednesday. I mean, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing goal you'll see. Look, Jamal Lowlight seems to tackle it about 5 times as he's going through, and it just bimbles and bounces, and he ends up prodding it into the back of the net. It was 2-2, wasn't it, at Hillsborough on Boxing Day. So, yeah, Hull fans won't agree about the Sheffield Wednesday voucher, but they have taken 4 points off them, and good comeback. And I think the key was they immediately scored when Sheffield Wednesday went into the lead, didn't they? Crooks equalised, and then an own goal just before half-time. Iorfa, Carl Joseph gets the third one, and it's fairly comfortable in the end, despite the scare in the first half. Much needed, as I suggested, 3 L's in 4 prior to this game, and this with the absolute spectre of Southampton and Wrexham really, really coming like a train, both of them. And, Hull fans, you just have to accept the world for what it is. I've been hearing plenty of comments saying, do you now get Southampton and Wrexham in the playoffs and maybe overtaking Hull between now and the end of the season? And as much as that might hurt your feelings to hear, Hull fans, it could happen, couldn't it? So Hull just need to stick the wins on. They've got 2 in 3 now. What have they got? They've got 66 points. So do they need to win? If they won another 3 games, it would take them to 75 out of the last 7. But do have the idea that what would take Wrexham and Southampton to 75? So they'd need to win 4 of their last 7. They're both capable of probably winning 5 of their last 7, aren't they? Southampton and Wrexham, the way things are going at the moment. Although I know you will get head-to-heads involved there, and teams at the top all playing one another. So yeah, nice position for Hull to be in, coming into it with a win and a 3-point cushion going into the last 7. And I mean, you tell me, Hull fans, is this now just get over the line and get into the playoffs with teams coming hot? Or do you genuinely look at it like, well, can you put a win streak together? And it's going to have to be a big win streak. If Hull wins 6 of their last 7, what would that chuck on? 18 points. That would take them up to 84. And then, yeah, you are in the automatic conversation. Who have they got? They do have to play Coventry in a couple of games' time. But otherwise, they do play a fair few teams down at the bottom here. They've got Oxford, they've got Leicester, they've got Charlton. And at the point they play Charlton, and then Norwich on the last day. Unless, again, we get a mad run from Norwich, you think might be a couple of dead rubbers to finish, which might suit Hull in the final couple of rounds. Sheffield Wednesday, I mean, we try and find nice things, small mercies, to say about Sheffield Wednesday. So how's this? In the last 4 games, they've taken the lead twice and equalised once. Okay. Don't tend to win. Haven't won for 33 games now. I will say about Wednesday, though, they haven't had a nice run of fixtures, have they? I know there's no nice run when you haven't got any players, essentially. But Hull and Ipswich, they've obviously played top 6 sides. Derby, Southampton and Norwich also chasing for the playoffs. You had the Sheffield Derby there. You had Millwall, who are right up at the top as well. So, I don't know. I'm trying to be nice, Wednesday fans. What are you going to do? Hull 3, Wednesday 1. There is your top 5 all dealt with. Right, let's move it on and talk about Southampton. Southampton are on fire, and they got this one done, underlined, dusted, over, I think in was it 13 minutes or 12 minutes or something early on in this one? It was 2-0 against Oxford. Yeah, 13 minutes. Larin with the first. Shea Charles with a great goal, very strange goal. The ball's kind of rolling across him, and he's running towards the touchline. And you think the way he's approaching the ball, the trajectory he hits it at, doesn't seem to absolutely larrup it as well. And he just curls it round and in. It's a fascinatingly unique goal. Often goals from that range, you just hit it as hard as you can and hope it flies in the top corner. But yeah, great strike by Shea Charles, and a unique one. And because Southampton were in action in midweek, they've put a 9-point week on the board. They are fearsome. Southampton have scored 30 points in 12 games. That is 9 wins and 3 draws. And being they beat Norwich in the week, and Norwich would be the closest challengers in terms of form in that period, they are comfortably the best team in the league over sort of a 12-game sample size. I mean, look, would you rather be winning or losing and on a winning run or not? You'd rather be on a winning run. We do often hear the theory this time of the season, don't peak too early. This idea that if you have your massive peak and you're not necessarily going to make automatic and then you confirm playoffs, you have to kind of reset. Whereas, there's this idea that you want your run to start in round 40 to take you through the playoffs. I don't know. We've heard each and every theory about this. What I do know is of all of those teams up there, who's got experience of winning the playoffs very recently? Well, obviously, Southampton did it a couple of years ago, beating West Brom and Leeds in 23-24. So they've been there, done it at Wembley, albeit with Russ Martin. And I guess a pretty different looking team now. Larin in there yesterday scoring, Azaz, Fellows, Harwood Bellis wouldn't have been there, would he? Or would he? No, he would have been there, wouldn't he? Flynn Downs was there, I guess. Stevens was there. Okay, still a smattering of players who did the business for Saints in 23-24, and they are really doing the business now. I mean, look, I have a lot of people tweet me and comment me every day, literally all day, every day. I'll get comments from football fans, which is great. And what tends to happen is a team that's doing well like Southampton, they'll just ask me, are they going to get automatic? And I mean, I just don't think it's plausible that. I mean, so let's assume Southampton win every single one of their last 7 games, and they get another 21 points. That would take them to 84 points. So you're probably looking at something like that. And they've already won 3 on the trot. So do I realistically see Southampton doing a 10-game winning streak to go to 84 points? And add that 7-game streak, onto a 12-game streak of already scoring 30 points. Southampton are going to score 51 points in their last, 19 games? Probably not. But, take this for what it is, Southampton fans. They are the best team in the league over the past 12, and they're in absolutely fine, fearsome form. Easy for me to say. We'll see if the FA Cup's a bit of a distraction. And we've got some nice head-to-heads coming up, haven't we? We've got Wrexham and Derby. So that is 6th against 7th and 6th against 8th. So interesting challenge. I'm sure Southampton fans will say, well, they just beat Norwich, who are in form, and have just beat Coventry. All fair points, but a head-to-head is a head-to-head. Southampton have also got to face. This could be a really big game. That rearranged game between 45 and 46. Tuesday, 28th of April. Southampton versus Ipswich. I can speak as an Ipswich fan. You want Southampton to be nicely in the playoffs there, but with nothing else to play for, and maybe resting a couple of players before the playoffs at that point. But yeah, we can but wish and hope, can't we? Oxford, I mean, do you just write off a game against Southampton? Now you probably do. It was lost within 12 minutes. And I suppose the big thing for Oxford, they've been really hot starters, haven't they? And the exact opposite in this one. Pompey away on Easter Monday is, I'm sure, where Oxford fans will be looking. And it's the first 2-goal defeat in 8 games. They've really tightened things up, Oxford, and the results have been much, much improved. Obviously, they dropped below Leicester. But look, wind back 5 games before the run of 3 wins and a draw, if you told any Oxford fan you're going to go to Easter in the international break, you're going to be 1 point behind Pompey in 21st. They'd have all taken it. Just give us a chance, Can you then score 8, 9, 10, 11 points in the last 7 games, which would take them to 50, wouldn't it? And can you get over the line? So I think it's been some brilliant work done at Oxford, and reset, go again, head-to-head against Pompey is gargantuan, massive, isn't it? Sheffield United 1, Wrexham 2. Has this become a bit of a grudge match? This was getting mentioned a lot in the run-up to this. I think they played a couple of cup ties as Wrexham were coming up the league. Crazy game. I mean, they've had 2 5-3s, haven't they? Wrexham at home. I'm trying to forget the other one because it was against Ipswich. But, yeah, I don't know. These two teams seem to... Kiefer Moore transferring between the two has very much irritated Chris Wilder as well. And Wrexham have the bragging rights. They've done the double here. And did they kind of throw this one away? Sheffield United. It looked like they were coming strong, having the better of it. They take the lead, and yeah, deja vu all over again for Sheffield United, having a nice cushy lead. Well, not cushy, because they lost both games, getting in front against Wrexham, and then ultimately losing. And yeah, Wrexham will just do this, won't they? They can have moments and flurries in games where, they get that channel ball. The wing-backs provide great service. They've got good strikers as well, Wrexham, and they've got strikers in form. And after Brooks gives Sheffield United the lead, Windass, he grabs a goal. And then Smith, who's been really good, hasn't he? And I've got to give Wrexham some credit. I know everyone talks about Moneybags Wrexham, but where did Smith come from? Reading? I mean, if you look through some of these players, okay, all of Sheffield Wednesday were leaving, but any Championship club could have tried and done the deal. And yes, Wrexham pay high wages. O'Brien, he was on loan at Swansea last season, probably could get him. Where was Thomason? Bolton. Dobson came with them. Viner, Bristol City. Okay, Doyle was an expensive one, wasn't it? Hyam was at Blackburn. Clareworth came with them. Okonkwo came with them. It's a lot of players that, it's not like they've gone and, taken... okay, there's Broadhead there was expensive, wasn't he? And, had already been promoted. But again, they're players they've managed to get out of other Championship teams. And you can almost make the argument, well, could have kept them, couldn't they? So, yeah, I know Wrexham have got loads of money, but it's not as cut and dried as they've just bought in a galaxy of stars. They've just taken players from other Championship teams, haven't they? And some of them, in the bottom half and in the middle, not necessarily up the top. I think I've made that point without necessarily getting everybody's ire, because I do understand Wrexham have loads of money as well. Two things can be true at the same time. They needed to do this, didn't they? For a couple of reasons. One, Southampton are absolutely coming like a train, and Wrexham are now tied on points with Saints, but just outside the playoffs on goal difference. Derby have also won 4 in 5. We're going to hear from them in just a second. The other thing is, in midweek, Wrexham went to Watford and lost. And this is just an impressive bounce back from the Red Dragons, isn't it? They're travelling again. It's a difficult game up to Sheffield. They go behind and they get the win. It shows a lot of resilience, a lot of character to do it. Sheffield United, are we fizzling out? 1 win in 6th. And they're almost now bottom of that mid-table cluster, aren't they? They're in 17th, and then it goes 50, 51, 51, 52, 52, 53, 53, 54. So if Sheffield United had scored 4 points more, they would be 7 places higher, and you can pretty much track it to that 1 win, failing to win 5 of their last 6. So it is fizzling out a little bit. I know Chris Wilder was really aggressively on the front foot saying this is not the case, but I don't know. Is that going to start to get into the player's head, whatever the messaging Chris gives to the outside world and the fans there? Blades 1, Wrexham 2. And we mentioned Derby had won 4 in 5. It was Derby 1, Birmingham 0. And well done to the boys at the second tier who picked this up, and I saw the tweet, and then I listened myself. John Eustace mentioning no fear football, which is football fans have got long memories, and I'm sure the Birmingham fans will all remember why John Eustace has maybe used those particular words, being sacked by Birmingham, replaced by Wayne Rooney. They wanted no fear football, and then Birmingham got relegated. So if it was a clever callback from Mr. Eustace, then I think it's all in good spirit that. And he speaks from a position of authority because he got the win here, and it's a comfortable one, wasn't it? I was a bit surprised because we found with Derby they've been very good at playing the pragmatic game, not necessarily having the ball and taking their chances, but pretty dominant in this one. 17 shots to 3 in this game. Birmingham did not register a shot on target. Brewster gets the goal. He's been in good form. 6 goal contribs in 10 games. And in my bold predictions video, and some people think those videos are silly, but as I always say at the end of the bold predictions, some of these will happen. I mentioned the impact in the projected assists I thought the Derby fullbacks would get between now and the end of the season. We're often running because Derry Merkin stick the cross in for Brewster to head home. Does Beadle leave that? Do you think it's going wide of the post? Is he? I don't know. He's got his bearings all wrong there, and the header sneaks into the corner. So back-to-back 1-0s, which means back-to-back clean sheets, which means back-to-back wins. 4 wins in 5. And look, I don't think Derby will finish in the playoffs. They're super close. I just feel that strength squad-wise that Southampton and Wrexham have got, and obviously Hull have got a 6-point advantage. But it really feels like he's doing a great job, Eustace. They're, right at their ceiling. Don't forget, he went in there. They got battered at QPR, and you're like, if he keeps them in the division here, he's done a good job. And then if you use that, say, the Nathan Jones example at Luton, where they just survived, then they went to the middle, then they went to the playoffs, and then they won the playoffs, that kind of thing. Well, Derby have almost missed out a stage of just being stable for a season. If they want to get to the Premier League, they were immediately challenging for playoffs. So it's very impressive from Derby. But I do just wonder whether that star power at Wrexham and Southampton might make the difference. Hey, if it goes down to stability and a strong team ethic and everybody knowing their jobs and actually a really good roster of attacking players, then Derby have got themselves a chance of getting in there, haven't they? Birmingham fans I spoke to yesterday were quite cross. And I don't know, never trust the YouTube comments totally, but the first thing I see on Chris Davis' interview after the game is, thanks, mate, you've tried your best, but, see you later. We'd love to try somebody else. So there is that idea from Birmingham fans that this is failure and that somebody else should get a chance. I don't necessarily buy that. I think continuity stands for a lot. And I think, yes, Birmingham have been a bit flaky away from home all season, really, haven't they? But I don't think it's something that they can't work on and improve. And it just depends what your expectations are. If 11th is not enough for Knighthead Capital, then he will be changed, won't he? And he will be replaced. But we'll see how the season ends. And what he can't afford, Chris Davis, is a big floppy fizzle out and Birmingham to drop in the bottom half, because that will be problematic for him. But I get it. 0.16 XG in this game, 0 shots on goal, 1 win in 6, and it is 10 points off the top 6 with, as we say, Derby, who they've literally just lost to, and Wrexham and Southampton absolutely flying towards the top 6. So, that's what it looks like. And it's an interesting debate about Chris Davis. Fair or unfair, reasonable or unreasonable. We can have the discussion, and Birmingham fans were certainly raising that with me yesterday. Watford 0, Leicester 0 brings us into the relegation conversation kind of vicariously. Watford aren't obviously in it, and I think they'll be a bit disappointed with Watford. They will have wanted to go back-to-back, won't they, in terms of the 2 games this week. they won't be disappointed with the way this played out because they very much could have lost it. But they beat Wrexham in midweek, and you think follow it up against the Leicester side struggling at the bottom. But the way it played out, they kind of got away with one, didn't they? Watford, Leicester missing a penalty, which obviously pads the underlying numbers massively. But even with that being said, I mean, look at that. 55-45 possession Leicester, 2.22, 0.25 on the XG in Leicester's favour, 15 shots to 6. So this is very much a game that could have been a home defeat here for Watford. And maybe that says more about Leicester than Watford and their just inability to win games for the longest time now. But yeah, the flip side of it is, would you have taken 4 points from the 2 home games? Watford fans probably would have. And obviously that nice moment with Bove that we didn't get to talk about actually from Wednesday night and him grabbing the goal. Was it Tuesday night or was it Wednesday? It was Tuesday night. I correct myself there. So yeah, Watford kind of sat there on 56. I don't know. We'll talk about who and when and where the beach is opening and who the first clubs are going to be on there. But there's like a 4-point gap up to Derby and a 7-point gap up to the actual playoffs. So yeah, I don't know about that in terms of Watford. And I must do this because I do this a lot with Watford. Just the inconsistency now about not doing anything back-to-back. Right, someone count up in the comments how many games this is. Right, here's what Watford have done. Drawn, lost, drawn, lost, drawn, won, lost, won, drawn, lost, won, drawn. That's probably about 14 games or something, isn't it? That they haven't done the same thing back-to-back. Leicester do the same thing a lot this season, and that is not win. Yeah, they failed to win 28 of their 39 games, and only Pompey, Oxford, and Sheffield Wednesday can say they failed to win. Well, actually, Pompey have played a game fewer, so that doesn't even work. So only Oxford and Leicester. And you do the maths, Leicester fans, if you are doing stats like that, and there's only 2 teams worse. We know what happens to the 3 worst teams in the division, and this still really doesn't smell good at Leicester. They're finding different ways to concern everybody here in terms of their relegation, because last week was the collapse defeat, wasn't it, at home, and they're leading against QPR and they let 3 goals fly in. This one's the, look, come on, you should win that game, and they still come out. It's like they're finding the way to find the worst case scenario from all the situations they're in. And it felt like, okay, you could still lose this game, but it felt like, you know, this is another one of miss a penalty. Daka has another good chance as well where he glances the header wide from pretty much like 2 yards out. And you're like, you shouldn't be drawing that game 0-0. You should be going ahead and winning that game, and they don't get the job done. And yes, you can almost see exactly when Gary arrives, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, and they've had 4 draws already, but they've only had the 1 win. And we're talking about a high tide at the bottom, aren't we? We're talking about needing 48, 49, 50 points maybe to stay in the division. Drawing is not going to be enough. You're going to need to win games. And Gary Rowett himself got caught by a high tide draw at Birmingham, and they went down with, I can't remember, 48, 49 or some 50. Birmingham go down 50. I think they did, didn't they? So Gary Rowett knows better than anyone this can happen if you don't get the requisite amount of wins on the board. What I will say is he mentioned Vestergaard coming back, Aaron Ramsey coming back again. So, you know, it's ridiculous with their squad that they're down there anyway. Okay, points deduction factored in, but they will still have more availabilities. And if you're looking at it, do they have some soft fixtures there? Are Preston, Sheffield Wednesday and Swansea going to be playing for much in the next 3 games? I tell you what, in the last 4, Pompey, Hull, Millwall and Blackburn are probably going to be playing for something. So, yeah, it feels like they need to win a couple in the next 3, don't they, to really get it moving and get some momentum. But, yeah, alarm bells still very much permanently ringing at Leicester. 1 win in 13. And I talk about my who's within a game. With West Brom winning, we'll get to them in a minute. Leicester have only got Pompey within a game to reel in here. So, yeah, and I suppose one good thing for Leicester is Oxford and Pompey play each other in a couple of games, don't they? So there is that. But, yeah, very little in the way of good news for Leicester fans for the longest time this season. Right, let's round this out. Charlton 0, Norwich 1. Maatsen with the goal early in this one. And Nathan Jones is furious about this. He said his side were kind of too risk averse and had funneled in too narrow to leave the shot from the edge of the box. And the keeper can't quite see what he's doing. And Maatsen just curls it into the corner. I've got to say, fair play Norwich, because they went to Southampton in midweek. And you're travelling again. Norwich fans very keen to tell me how many thousand players they've got injured at any point. So real resilience from the Canaries to go there and get the win. Impressive stuff. 36 points in 17 since Christmas. They are in the top 10 now. Yeah, so Birmingham lost, didn't they? They overtake anyone else this week? Norwich suppose they would have overtaken Swansea, would they? Yeah, Swansea lost. Stoke lost. I think they jump up a couple of places. I can't keep up with where that mid-range of the table moves. But, yeah, Norwich, I mean, look, God, if you'd have taken the table when Liam Manning was seeing out his days there as Norwich manager and you said they're going to end up 10th or even higher, then it would have been wildest expectations, wouldn't it? But, yeah, Phil Clement, as we say every week, absolutely superb. So 54 points. They are 9 points off the playoffs with 7 games to go. So, yes, I will still continue to, very much like the Southampton fans asking me about the top 2. Any team that's in really good form, the fans will just assume the absolute best case scenario. And the absolute best case scenario is that they Norwich win the last 7 games. Let's give them all 7 wins and they've got 21 points. Takes them to 75. They'll probably get in with that. I don't know. I don't think that will happen, but I will be here on my feet, standing ovation if it does, especially given how well Southampton, Wrexham and Derby are performing and how the pace is at the moment. Charlton with a T there. I'd correct my daughter for that, wouldn't I? Especially if you're from Charlton, if you're from South London, you would say it like that. But hey, I am not. Yeah, Charlton will be disappointed with this one because they would have known Norwich travelled in midweek. They're really good at home. They're really good at home with the 1-0. And they're still just short. It feels like that 50 points is symbolic. They still need another win to get to 50, Charlton. They're on 48. They look safe. Charlton fans get annoyed whenever I put a tweet out about survival and I include them in it. So they don't think they're in it, but I still think it's going to be symbolic just to get to that 50 and just keep everybody else at the door. But you'd imagine there'll be enough trips below them that Charlton could probably lose the majority of their remaining games and a couple of draws would take them to the line. It's all low margin, isn't it, at the Valley. Neither side has scored more than 1 goal in Charlton's last 7 games. Bristol City 0, West Brom 1. No, I've just got to go to QPR first, haven't I? QPR 6, Pompey 1. Sorry, I wrote my notes after Preston had won on Friday, so they're in a slightly different place. Where have I got Preston? Oh, they're all the way up there. Anyway, QPR fans are going to want to hear about their ridiculous... I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. I said in my bold predictions, QPR are the most random team in the league. So the prediction I'll make is they'll score 3 or they'll be win by 3 and they'll be beaten by 3 or more in consecutive games. Is it coming? Are they now about to lose by 3 or more to Watford in their next game? You wouldn't put past it, would it? 6-1, they win in this one. And this is the side that have been absolutely horrible and lost 4 in a row, scoring 0 and conceding 12. This is the side that have just had no goals in them since Roman Burrell got hurt. And they've now scored 9 in 2 games and they scored 6 in 1. This is also the side that in the same season has lost 7-1 to Coventry and won 6-1 against Pompey. They are mental. And they didn't even make that many chances in this game. Their finishing was absolutely lethal. And I saw a tweet, 6 touches in the box for QPR, 6 goals. Well, how is that possible? You are allowed to score from outside the box. Where is the shot map for this one? Yeah, 3 of the goals from outside the box. 1 from the penalty spot. Smith got 2. Colley got 2. Kone got 2 right at the end of the game. And yeah, just much, much needed. We were hearing conversations about Julian Stefan. Is he going to last the season with that terrible run? Well, all of a sudden you win back-to-back games. They're in the top half of the table. And let's be honest, even if you've been pretty hopeless, a 6-1 win is always great fun for the fans to experience. Back-to-back wins. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, QPR fans. Just utter, random, brilliant chaos from Rangers. But Pompey, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. And I had a chat with George Ellick. You can check that. It's the last video. When did we do that? On Thursday. George from Not the Top 20, who's brilliantly knowledgeable on all things Championship. And we talked about our concerns for Pompey. And they'd kind of been in games and having possession and having shots and being a bit hapless. And I remember a late goal at Blackburn and Derby, they had loads of the ball and lost 1-0. This is a bit different, isn't it? And they've gone under 6-1, haven't they? And Ibu Adams is moved out of central midfield and John Swift is put in there. And I love John Swift, but you've put the technical player further back and the runner. And Mousinho said he did it to try and get things to link up. But then, is it then any coincidence that you get run through and there's 3 long-range goals in the game? I don't know. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it. John Mousinho would obviously have an infinitely greater understanding of why that happened or why he did that than me. But yeah, this is just disastrous for Pompey. 1 point in 6. And they do feel like, I know I've just said big alarm bells at Leicester, but Leicester, there is some kind of trend towards going from losing every week to drawing every week and Gary Rowett trying to do something new. It does feel like Portsmouth are in the worst slump there. And this is a very significant defeat. I remember Pompey losing 6-1 at Stoke last season. Was that a bit of a turning point or am I misremembering that? Anyway, this needs to be a turning point because Pompey 1 point off relegation. They do have a game in hand. The game in hand is against Ipswich. I mean, don't underestimate Ipswich's capacity to mess that up, but it's not the opponent you want in your game in hand at this point in the season. Alarm bells, ringing at Leicester and at Pompey right now. They were ringing, easy for me to say, at Preston with the run they'd been on, but they had a nice affirming win on Friday night. People were saying to me, well, Ben, you need to start including Preston in your relegation chat. And it's like, no, I don't think I do. And I was right not to because they now move on to 52 points just with that win. Oh, we've got the classic. Won 13, drawn 13, lost 13. Oh, they haven't got about Bob on goal difference, though, -4. But yeah, no offence, Preston, but that is like, we always look at that as a middling average team. But it was a good performance, wasn't it, to beat Stoke on Friday night. They went behind super sore, but Thomas is closing in on 10 goals, 10 assists. That's now, he's now 1 off, isn't he? He's got 10 goals and 9 assists. I think he opens the scoring. Lovely goal. And yeah, just some criminal defending. Mark Robbins sort of was saying, I think they concede from basically two attacking set plays, don't they? A free kick and a throw in, and Devine is able to counter-attack. Osmajic gets a goal. Devine gets 2. First win in 8 for North End. 4 L's in a row prior. Under 1.5 goals, Preston, in 13 of their previous 14. The floodgates open and Devine and Osmajic both move on to 8 goals. Stoke, are we on the beach? Stoke and Bristol City are both 12 points above relegation and 12 points off the playoffs. Are they the first teams on? You tell me. And Stoke are fizzling, aren't they? 2 wins in 14 in all comps. No clean sheet in 9, which probably exemplifies their goalkeeper issues there. And last away win, 4th of January for Stoke. Finally, sorry, I've gone long. We're about to go over the hour. My bad. Unless you're enjoying the show, I'm going to talk for a couple more minutes. Bristol City 0, West Brom 1. I've got to say, brilliant from James Morrison. This one, back-to-back wins. And it feels like that's what you need to do this season. Blackburn went back-to-back when O'Neill went there. Portsmouth went back-to-back with the 2 away wins at Charlton and Millwall, didn't they? Oxford did 3 in a row. Now West Brom have done back-to-back. And that circles me back to that Leicester conversation. Leicester are the only ones to have not done that. West Brom stepping up now at a really, really good time. They've given themselves a cushion of a game with a 4-point gap, which we've spoken about a lot on this particular video today. They're actually 4 undefeated, and that's back-to-back clean sheets. George Campbell, who knew it, scored that slammer from outside the box at Bramall Lane, scores from a set play in this one. He stepped up nicely. We've said about West Brom, keep it simple, stupid, and that's what they're doing. Was it another 4-4 F into? I bet it was. Let me just double check on here. Yeah, of course it was. Madger and Hegebo up top. Keep clean sheets, get the ball into your forwards, win games. And that is what West Brom did yesterday at Bristol City, who are in horrible, horrible form. As I said, themselves and Stoke are equidistant now between relegation and playoffs. 0.18 XG, 1 shot on target, 5 Ls in 6 in all competitions. Last 14 from Bristol City, only 12 points. Only Leicester and Sheffield Wednesday worse. And of course, if you sell Mehmeti and Viner in the mid-season transfer window, it doesn't look that ambitious or that good. But let's not bury the lead. Well done, West Brom. Back-to-back wins. Oh my God, I think that's the first time we've gone over an hour on one of these. So my apologies. We'll try and get this out and upload. It's probably going to take about 3 years to download because the file's going to be so big now. But we will try our best. International break is here, everybody. So we will take stock. We'll have a look at some predictions. We'll do some interviews and whatnot as we come up to the Easter weekend. Let me know what you want to see in the channel. Get down there in the comments. Get subscribing and clicking on all these videos that are popping up here. And please give me your reactions. Those are your hot takes for EFL Championship round 39.